Commander Jack Morrison stood at the main window of the Liberty Dawn space station. He watched the stars like he did every morning with his coffee. The coffee was hot and black, just the way he liked it. Today felt different, though. Something was coming. The communication system made a loud beep. Jack walked over and pressed the answer button. The face of Lieutenant Kate Murphy appeared on the screen. She looked worried. "Commander, we have something big on the sensors. Really big. And it's coming straight for us." Jack put down his coffee cup. "How big are we talking about, Kate?" "Bigger than anything we've ever built, sir. It's sending out signals on frequencies we've never heard before. I think this might be it. First contact." Jack felt his heart beat faster. Humans had been looking for alien life for hundreds of years. Now it seemed like alien life had found them first. "Sound the alert. Get everyone to their stations. And call Dr. Lisa Carter up here right away." The space station came alive with activity. People ran through the halls to get to their jobs. Red lights flashed everywhere. Jack had trained for this moment his whole life, but he still felt nervous. Dr. Lisa Carter arrived at the command center 15 minutes later. She was Earth's best expert on what aliens might be like. She carried a big bag full of computers and testing equipment. "Is it really happening, Jack?" she asked. "Look for yourself," Jack said. He pointed at the main screen. The alien ship was huge. It was at least 10 times bigger than the Liberty Dawn station. The ship was white and gold, with smooth curves that made it look almost alive. Strange symbols glowed along its sides. "It's beautiful," Lisa said softly. "It's also armed," said Captain Ryan Bell. He had just walked into the command center. Ryan was in charge of all Earth's military forces in space. "I count at least 50 weapon ports on that thing." The communication system beeped again. This time the sound was different. It played a series of musical notes that went up and down like a song. "They're trying to talk to us," Lisa said. She started working on her computers. "Give me a few minutes to figure out their language." While Lisa worked, Jack studied the alien ship. It moved slowly and carefully, like it didn't want to scare anyone. That was a good sign. Maybe these aliens came in peace. "Got it," Lisa said suddenly. "Their computer is learning our language from our internet. Pretty smart system. They want to send over a representative to talk." "Just one?" Ryan asked. "That seems too easy." "Maybe they're being careful too," Jack said. "Tell them yes. But let them know we'll have security ready." An hour later, a small shuttle left the alien ship. It was just as beautiful as the main ship, but much smaller. The shuttle docked with the Liberty Dawn's main bay. Jack, Lisa, and Ryan waited in the meeting room. They had put on their best uniforms. Jack's hands were sweating, but he tried to look calm. The door opened. The alien who walked in was tall and thin, with blue skin and forearms. Its head was larger than a human head, and it had big silver eyes. It wore robes that looked expensive. "Greetings," the alien said in perfect English. "I am Ambassador Zethkar of the Vallani people. We represent the Galactic Confederation." "Welcome to Earth space," Jack said. "I'm Commander Jack Morrison. This is Dr. Lisa Carter and Captain Ryan Bell." Zethkar looked around the room with its big eyes. It seemed to be studying everything very carefully. "Your species is new to us," Zethkar said. "We have been watching your world from far away. We are surprised that life exists on such a dangerous planet." "Dangerous?" Lisa asked. "Your world is what we call a Class X death world. The gravity is too strong. The radiation is too high. The weather is too violent. Most life forms would die in minutes on your planet's surface." Jack felt a little proud when he heard this. Humans were tougher than aliens thought. "We have come to offer your species a great honor," Zethkar continued. "You may join the Galactic." Confederation as a client species. We will protect you from the dangers of space. What would we have to do? Ryan asked. Simple things. You will provide soldiers for our military. You will give us 40% of your planet's resources. You will follow Confederation laws. In return, we will keep you safe. Jack felt his anger rising. This alien was talking like humans were children who needed protection. And if we say no? Jack asked. Zethkar's silver eyes got colder. No species has ever said no to the Confederation. We have brought peace to over 300 worlds. We are the strongest military force in the galaxy. We appreciate the offer. Jack said carefully, but we need time to think about it. Of course, we are generous. You have 72 hours to decide. But please understand, this offer will not be made twice. After Zethkar left, Jack, Lisa, and Ryan sat in silence for a long time. They think we're weak, Ryan said finally. They think our planet made us weak, Lisa added. They don't understand that growing up on a death world made us strong. Jack stood up and walked to the window. The alien ship was still there, waiting for their answer. Get me a secure line to Earth Command, Jack said. We need to talk to the President. And Ryan? Yes, sir? Start getting our defenses ready. Quietly. I have a feeling these Confederation people don't take no for an answer very well. Ryan smiled for the first time since the aliens arrived. Already on it, sir. Jack looked back at the stars. Everything was about to change. The aliens thought humans were just another weak species from a dangerous world. They were about to learn how wrong they were. The countdown to humanity's first galactic war had just begun. Marine Sergeant Amy Brooks looked at her squad of 12 volunteers. They were on a shuttle, heading to the alien testing facility on a small moon. Each Marine looked calm, but Amy could tell they were all thinking the same thing. What did the aliens really want? Remember, Amy told her team, we're here to show them what humans can do. But we're also here to learn about them. Keep your eyes open. The shuttle landed on the moon's surface. The gravity felt light, like walking on Earth's moon. The alien facility was a giant white building with no windows. It looked clean and expensive. Dr. Crintle met them at the entrance. He was the same species as Ambassador Zethkar, with blue skin and 4 arms, but he wore a white coat instead of fancy robes. Welcome, humans, Dr. Crintle said. We are excited to study your species. These tests will help us understand your capabilities. Amy didn't like the way he said, study. It made her feel like a lab rat. The first test was in a large room with obstacles. There were walls to climb, ropes to swing on, and heavy objects to move. Dr. Crintle watched from behind a glass window. This is our standard physical assessment, he explained through a speaker. Most species take several hours to complete. Take your time. Amy looked at the course. It reminded her of basic training, but easier, much easier. All right, Marines, she said. Let's show them how it's done. Private Mike Davis went first. He ran through the course like it was a warm-up exercise. He climbed the 30-foot wall in seconds. He swung across the rope gaps without slowing down. When he reached the heavy lifting section, he picked up weights that were marked Extreme, Handle with Mechanical Assistance. Dr. Crintle pressed his face against the glass. His silver eyes were wide with shock. That's impossible, he said into his recording device. The gravity settings are at maximum tolerance levels. One by one, Amy's Marines completed the course. Each one finished in under 10 minutes. Private Sarah Kim even did it while carrying her full combat gear, just to see if she could. The aliens watching from the observation deck were talking quickly in their own language. Amy could see them pointing at their instruments and shaking their heads. The equipment must be broken, Dr. Crintle said to his assistant. reset everything, and run the tests again. They ran the tests 3 more times. Each time, the humans completed them faster. The next test was in a different room. This one had bright lights, loud noises, and strange smells. The temperature kept changing from very hot to very cold. This tests your endurance under stress, Dr. Crintle explained. Most species can handle 15 minutes before they need medical attention. Corporal Tony Garcia laughed. This is like summer in Texas, Doc. The humans stayed in the stress chamber for 2 hours. They talked, joked, and even did push-ups to pass the time. When Dr. Crintle finally let them out, they weren't even sweating much. Your readings are off the charts, Dr. Crintle told Amy. Your heart rate's barely increased. Your stress hormones are at normal levels. How is this possible? We're from Earth, Amy said simply. This is nothing compared to what we deal with at home. The psychological tests came next. Dr. Crintle showed the humans pictures and asked them questions. He wanted to know how they would react in different situations. You are a soldier, he said to Sergeant Pete Collins. Your commander orders you to retreat, but civilians will die if you leave. What do? Pete didn't hesitate. I stay and fight. You don't abandon people who can't protect themselves, even if it means you will die, especially then. Dr. Crintle asked the same question to all 12 Marines. Every single one gave the same answer. They would rather die than let innocent people get hurt. The alien doctor looked confused and worried. He talked quietly with his assistants for a long time. I don't understand, he finally said to Amy. Your species values individual survival above everything else, correct? All intelligent species do. Amy shook her head. No, Doctor. We value doing what's right above everything else. Sometimes that means surviving. Sometimes it doesn't. But why would you choose death over life? Because some things are more important than staying alive, said Private Helen Wong. Freedom, protecting others, keeping your word. A life without honor isn't worth living. Dr. Crintle made more notes on his computer. His hands were shaking a little. The final test was about intelligence and problem solving. The aliens gave the humans puzzles to solve and strategies to figure out. Corporal Dan Rivers looked at a tactical scenario on the computer screen. It showed 2 armies fighting. The smaller army was surrounded and outnumbered 10-1. What should the small army do? Dr. Crintle asked. Don studied the screen for 30 seconds. Break into small groups. Hit supply lines. Make the big army chase you into bad terrain. Force them to fight on your terms, not theirs. But the small army will take heavy casualties. Maybe, but they'll win in the end. The big army isn't used to real fighting. They expect enemies to give up when things get hard. Dr. Crintle looked at the other aliens in the room. They were all staring at Dan with fear in their eyes. After all the tests were done, Amy and her Marines waited in a break room. Through the walls, they could hear the aliens arguing loudly in their own language. I think we broke their computers, Mike said with a grin. I think we broke more than that, Amy replied. Dr. Crintle came back an hour later. He looked tired and worried. Your test results are unlike anything we have ever seen, he said. Your physical abilities exceed our instrument's ability to measure. Your psychological profiles show traits that we thought were myths. What kind of traits? Amy asked. Selflessness, courage under impossible odds, willingness to sacrifice for abstract concepts. Your species appears to be genetically programmed for warfare at a level we didn't think was possible. Amy stood up. Doctor, can I ask you something? Of course. How? Many wars has the Confederation fought? Dr. Crintle looked confused. Wars? We don't fight wars. We make demonstrations of force. Other species see our fleets and surrender immediately. There's no point in fighting when defeat is certain. So you've never actually fought anyone who fought back. No species has ever been foolish enough to fight the Confederation. Amy smiled, but it wasn't a friendly smile. Doctor, I think you and your Confederation are about to learn something new about humans. What's that? We're not like other species. We grew up on a world that tried to kill us every single day. We learned how to fight from fighting each other. And we never, ever give up when something important is at stake. Dr. Quintal left the room quickly. Amy could hear him talking rapidly on his communication device. Think they're scared? Pete asked. They should be, Amy said. They just figured out that they've never met a real warrior species before. And now they have to decide what to do. About it, outside the facility, the alien ships were already preparing to leave. The tests were over. Now the real challenge would begin. Admiral Kate Murphy stood on the bridge of the destroyer New Horizon. Through the main screen, she could see the biggest fleet she had ever seen in her life. 200 alien ships floated in perfect formation. Each ship was huge and covered in gold and silver decorations. Impressive, said Lieutenant Colonel Dan Rivers. He was standing next to Kate, watching the alien fleet with professional interest. They sure like to show off. All flash and no substance, Kate replied quietly. Look at those formations. They're designed to look good, not fight good. The communication system came alive. Fleet Commander Velther appeared on the screen. He was another Vellani, but his robes were even fancier than Ambassador Zethkar's. Golden symbols covered his blue skin. Welcome, humans, Velther said with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. You are about to witness the power of the Galactic Confederation. Our fleet exercises will show you why resistance is pointless. We're honored to observe, Kate replied politely. But inside, she was studying everything about the alien commander. Dr. Helen Parker stood at a side console, recording everything. She was Earth's military historian and expert on battle tactics. Her job was to learn how the Confederation fought. Begin Exercise Alpha, Velther announced. The alien fleet started moving. As ships turned and twisted in complicated patterns, lights flashed along their hulls. Energy beams shot between the vessels in colorful displays. Beautiful, Dan said. Completely useless, but beautiful. Helen was taking notes on her computer. Their formations are based on intimidation, not tactical advantage. Those energy displays are wasting power. And look at their spacing. Kate looked where Helen was pointing. The alien ships were flying too close together. If someone attacked them, one explosion could damage multiple vessels. They've never been in a real fight, Kate realized. This isn't military training. This is a parade. For 2 hours, the Confederation fleet performed their exercises. Ships moved in perfect lines. Weapons fired at empty space to create light shows. Everything was smooth and practiced. Commander Velther contacted the New Horizon again. He looked very pleased with himself. Magnificent, is it not? He said. The Confederation fleet is the most powerful force in the galaxy. No enemy has ever lasted more than minutes against us. Very impressive, Kate agreed. Your coordination is remarkable. Indeed. Now, Admiral Murphy, perhaps you would like to demonstrate your own primitive human tactics? It would be amusing to see what your single ship can do. Kate looked at Dan and Helen. They both nodded slightly. We'd be happy to participate, Kate said. What are the rules? Simple war games. Your ship against our fleet. Computer simulation, of course. When your ship is destroyed, the exercise ends. Understood. How long do you think it will take? Velther laughed. Perhaps 30 seconds? A minute if you run away quickly? Kate smiled. Let's find out. The war game began. The New Horizon was alone against 200 enemy ships. On paper, it was impossible odds. But Kate had been fighting impossible odds her whole career. "All stations, this is the Admiral," she announced over the ship's communication system. "We're going to show these aliens how humans fight. Helen, transmit our battle plan to the crew." The plan was simple but effective. Instead of trying to fight the entire fleet at once, the New Horizon would use hit-and-run tactics. Strike fast, move fast, make the enemy chase them into bad positions. "First target," Kate ordered. "That command ship on the left flank. It's isolated from the others." The New Horizon accelerated hard. The artificial gravity systems strained to keep the crew from being crushed by the force. On alien ships, such acceleration would have killed everyone aboard. The Confederation ships were slow to react. They weren't used to enemies that moved so fast and aggressively. By the time they started shooting, the New Horizon was already behind them. "Direct hit on Target 1, reported Lieutenant Mike Chun from the weapons station. "Computer says it's destroyed." "Good. Next target, the supply ships in the center." "Done. Punch a hole through their formation." The New Horizon dove straight into the middle of the alien fleet. Confederation ships scattered in panic, trying to avoid hitting each other. In the confusion, the human ship destroyed 6 more vessels. "There. Not working together," Helen observed. "Each captain is making his own decisions. No overall coordination." Kate nodded. "They're used to enemies that surrender immediately. They don't know how to adapt when someone fights back." For the next hour, the New Horizon tore through the Confederation fleet. Human tactics were too aggressive and unpredictable for the aliens to counter. The New Horizon used asteroids for cover, flew through debris fields that alien ships couldn't, navigate, and attacked from directions the enemy didn't expect. "Simulation complete," announced the computer. "Human vessel, operational. Confederation fleet, 47 ships destroyed, 32 ships damaged, remainder in retreat." The silence on the communication channel lasted for a full minute. "Impossible." Velther finally whispered, "Run the simulation again. There must be an error." They ran it 3 more times. Each time, the result was the same. The single human ship defeated the entire Confederation fleet. "How?" Velther demanded. "Your ship is smaller than ours. Your weapons are less powerful. Your numbers are insignificant." Kate looked at the alien commander with pity. "Commander, you've been fighting sheep for so long, you forgot what wolves look like. I don't understand. You fight species that evolved on safe worlds, garden planets with gentle weather and weak gravity. Their idea of conflict is a strongly worded complaint. We come from a death world that tried to kill us every day for millions of years. We learned warfare by fighting each other." Dan stepped forward. "Every human child learns strategy by playing war games. Every human adult has studied famous battles. We've been preparing for conflict our entire lives, even before we knew aliens existed." Helen held up her computer. "I've analyzed your tactics. Commander, you rely on intimidation and overwhelming force. But you've never faced an enemy that wouldn't be intimidated. You don't know what to do when someone refuses to surrender." Velther's face had turned a darker shade of blue. "This was just a simulation. In real combat, our numbers would ensure victory." "Maybe," Kate said, "but it would cost you. Every human ship you destroy would take 10 of yours with it. Every human soldier you kill would kill 50 of yours first. Are you prepared for casualties? Like that? The Confederation has never taken significant casualties in any conflict. That's because you've never fought a real enemy before. You've conquered civilizations that were basically pacifists. We're not pacifists, Commander. We're survivors from a world that doesn't allow weakness." The communication ended abruptly. Through the main screen, Kate could see the Confederation fleet beginning to move away. "Think we scared them?" Dan asked. "I think we educated them," Kate replied. "The question is whether they're smart enough to learn from the lesson." Helen was still analyzing the battle data. "Admiral, I've been comparing their ship designs to ours. They're built for show, not for war. Beautiful materials, fancy decorations. But the armor is thin, and the weapons are positioned for maximum visual impact, not tactical effectiveness." "Makes sense," Kate said. "When you only fight enemies that surrender immediately, you don't need real warships. You just need scary-looking ones. What happens now?" Don asked. Kate looked at the retreating alien fleet. "Now they go back to their Confederation and report what happened here. They'll have to decide if they want to back down or escalate. And if they escalate, then they're going to learn the difference between conquering helpless civilizations and fighting humans who refuse." Tio quit. The New Horizon began its journey back to Earth. Behind them, the Confederation fleet continued to retreat. But Kate knew this wasn't over. The aliens had just learned that humans were dangerous. The question was whether they would be smart enough to leave Earth alone, or foolish enough to try and eliminate the threat. Either way, humanity would be ready. President Carol Stone stood in the White House Situation Room. On the main screen was Ambassador Zethkar, looking angry and worried. Behind him, Kate could see other alien leaders from different species. "This is your final warning," Zethkar sighed. "The Galactic Confederation has decided that humanity poses a threat to galactic peace. Submit to our authority immediately, or face the consequences." Carol looked at the alien ambassador for a long moment. Then she leaned forward and spoke 2 words that would become famous across the galaxy. "Come try." The communication ended. Carol turned to General Alex Turner, the head of Earth's military forces. "How long do we have?" she asked. "Our scouts report the largest fleet in galactic history heading our way. 50,000 ships. They'll be here in 6 months. Can we win?" Alex smiled grimly. "We can make them wish they'd never heard of Earth." 6 months later, Captain Tony Williams stood on the bridge of the defense station guarding the outer colonies. Through his sensors, he could see the Confederation fleet approaching. It stretched across space like a metal ocean. "Dear God," whispered Lieutenant Sarah Kim. "There are so many of them." "Number don't matter if they can't use them right," Tony replied. "Remember the plan. Make them pay for every inch." The human strategy was simple but effective. Instead of trying to protect Earth directly, they would make the aliens fight for every system, every planet, every moon. Each battle would cost the Confederation more ships than they expected. The first battle was at the mining station on asteroid Belt 7. Colonel Maria Santos had 300 human soldiers and 50 defensive turrets. The Confederation sent 5,000 troops and a battle cruiser. "Surrender now and you will be treated well," the alien commander broadcast. Maria's response was a missile strike that damaged. The enemy cruiser. The battle lasted 18 hours. The aliens expected to capture the station in 30 minutes. Instead, they found themselves fighting humans who had turned every corridor into a death trap. Every room was a fortress. Every retreat was an ambush. When the station finally fell, Maria activated the fusion reactor's self-destruct system. The explosion destroyed the mining station, the Confederation battlecruiser, and 4,000 enemy troops. The aliens won the battle, but it was a victory that felt like defeat. Similar battles happened at dozens of human outposts. Each time, the Confederation forces won. But each victory cost them more ships and soldiers than they had lost in the previous century of conquests. On the bridge of the Confederation flagship, Fleet Admiral Kethfer was reading casualty reports. His hands shook as he looked at the numbers. 12. 1,000 ships damaged or destroyed, he told his staff. 8 million soldiers killed or wounded. And we've only captured empty space stations and mining facilities. The humans are insane, said one of his captains. They fight like cornered. Animals. No, Kethfer corrected. Animals run when they're cornered. Humans fight harder. The psychological impact on Confederation forces was terrible. They had been told this would be a quick campaign to pacify a primitive species. Instead, they were fighting the most vicious enemy they had ever encountered. Stories spread through the alien fleet about human berserker rage. Soldiers who would keep fighting, even when mortally wounded. Pilots who would ram their damaged ships into enemy vessels rather than surrender. Defenders who would destroy their own bases rather than let them be captured. General Alex Turner coordinated the human counterattack from a secret base in the asteroid belt. While the Confederation struggled to capture empty outposts, humans strike. Teams attacked their supply lines. Commander Ellen Davis led one such team aboard the stealth ship Liberator. Her mission was to hit Confederation supply convoys heading to the front lines. Target convoy spotted, reported her sensor operator. 20 cargo ships, 5 escorts. Only 5 escorts for 20 cargo ships? Ellen shook her head. They still don't understand how we fight. The human attack was swift and brutal. The Liberator destroyed the escort ships before they could send a distress signal. The cargo ships, designed for peaceful trading, had no defenses against military weapons. Cargo destroyed, Ellen reported to General Turner. The Confederation troops at the front won't be getting supplies this week. All across human space, similar attacks were happening. Human forces struck at communication stations, supply depots, and repair facilities. They avoided direct battles with the main Confederation fleet, but made it impossible for that fleet to operate effectively. The aliens had numbers, but humans had strategy. Captain Ryan Bell led the defense of New Austin Colony. The Confederation had sent 30,000 troops to capture the civilian population. Ryan had 500 Marines and a desperate plan. They expect us to protect the civilians by fighting defensively, he told his troops. Instead, we're going to attack them so hard and fast that they won't have time to threaten anyone. The human assault began at dawn. Instead of waiting for the aliens to land, Ryan's Marines attacked the enemy ships while they were still in orbit. Using captured Confederation shuttles, they boarded enemy vessels and fought their way to the engine rooms. The aliens panicked. They had never faced an enemy that would attack upward, from a planet's surface to ships in space. By the time they regrouped, half their fleet was disabled, but numbers eventually won. The Confederation forces landed and began advancing toward the colony. Ryan's Marines fought a running battle through the streets, making the aliens pay for every building. We can't hold them much longer, Ryan radioed to General Turner. Understood, Turner replied. Execute Protocol 7. Protocol 7 was humanity's final option. Rather than let their families be enslaved, the colonists evacuated to the underground shelters. Then Ryan activated the fusion power plant's overload. Sequence. Tell them we chose freedom, Ryan said over the radio. Then the colony disappeared in a ball of nuclear fire, taking the remaining Confederation forces with it. The alien fleet commanders were horrified. They had never fought an enemy that would rather die than surrender. The psychological impact was devastating. Across the Confederation fleet, soldiers began deserting. They had signed up to intimidate helpless species, not fight suicidal maniacs, who turned every victory into a bloodbath. Meanwhile, something unexpected was happening in Confederation space. Species that had been conquered centuries ago were hearing about the human resistance. They learned that the mighty Confederation could be fought, could be beaten. The rebellion began on the slave world of Corex 4. The native population had been mining crystals for the Confederation for 300 years. When they heard that humans were fighting back successfully, they decided to try. "If humans can resist," said the rebel leader Vextai, "so can we." The uprising spread to dozens of worlds. The Confederation found itself fighting wars on multiple fronts, something they had never experienced before. General Turner received reports of the alien rebellions with satisfaction. "Phase 2 is beginning," he told his staff. "We're not just fighting for Earth anymore. We're fighting for everyone who wants to be free." Admiral Kethfer was in his private cabin when the news arrived. 37 Confederation member worlds had declared independence. Rebel fleets were attacking government installations. The entire galactic order was collapsing. "Sir," his aide said nervously, "the Confederation Council is demanding an immediate victory against the humans. They say it's the only way to stop the rebellions." Kethfer looked at the casualty reports scattered across his desk. In 6 months of fighting, the Confederation had lost more ships and soldiers than in the previous 1,000 years combined. And they still hadn't captured a single important human world. "Tell the Council," he said slowly, "that we have awakened. Something we don't understand. The humans aren't just another species to be conquered. They're a force of nature. And forces of nature can't be negotiated with or intimidated." "What are your orders, sir?" Kethfer was quiet for a long time. Outside his window, he could see human fighters attacking another supply convoy. Even now, even here in the heart of the Confederation fleet, the humans were still fighting. "Prepare the fleet for withdrawal," he said finally. "We're going home." "Sir? We came here to pacify a primitive species. Instead, we've started a galactic war that we can't win. Every day we stay, more worlds rebel against us. The Confederation is destroying itself, trying to destroy Earth." The aide looked shocked. "But the Council's orders—" "The Council doesn't understand what we're facing. These humans would rather burn the galaxy down than live as slaves. And they're teaching everyone else to think the same way." As the Confederation fleet began its long retreat, human forces prepared for the next phase of the war. They had proven that the galaxy's greatest military power could be defeated. Now they had to help build something better to replace it. The age of the Confederation was ending. The age of freedom was about to begin. Ambassador Susan Clark walked through the halls of what used to be the Confederation Capitol building on Centauri Prime. The walls were covered with beautiful artwork from hundreds of different alien species. But now, instead of symbols of conquest, they represented something new: freedom. 3 years had passed since the Confederation's defeat. The war had ended not with humanity's destruction, but with the complete collapse of the galaxy's oldest empire. When species across the galaxy learned that resistance was possible, the rebellion spread like wildfire. "The Galactic Alliance Assembly will now come to order," Susan announced. She stood at the center of a massive circular chamber filled with representatives from over 200 species. The assembly was nothing like the old Confederation Council. Instead of one species ruling over others, every world had an equal vote. Instead of demanding tribute, members contributed what they could afford. Instead of enforcing obedience through fear, the Alliance protected freedom through mutual cooperation. Dr. Robert Chun sat in the scientific advisory section. He had spent the last 3 years studying why humans developed so differently from other species. His research was helping the galaxy understand itself better. "The Galactic Xenological Institute has completed its study of Earth," he reported to the assembly. "Our findings explain why humans were able to resist when others could not." Robert activated a holographic display showing Earth's harsh environment. Most intelligent species evolved on what we call garden worlds: stable climate, gentle weather, abundant resources. These species developed cooperation and peacekeeping as survival traits. The display changed to show humans fighting through Earth's ice ages, volcanic eruptions, and natural disasters. Humans evolved on a world that was actively trying to kill them. They developed different survival traits: the ability to hope when hope seemed pointless, the willingness to fight against impossible odds, the capacity to choose death over slavery. A representative from the peaceful Thailand species raised her hand. "Dr. Chun, are you saying that suffering makes a species stronger?" "Not suffering alone," Robert replied. "It's overcoming suffering that creates strength." Humans learned that giving up meant death, so they never learned how to give up. When the Confederation demanded submission, humans literally didn't know how to submit. Captain Ellen Davis commanded the Alliance peacekeeping ship Liberator. Her crew was made up of former enemies who now worked together. Her second in command was Vextai, the alien who had led the first rebellion against the Confederation. "Captain," Vextai reported, "we're receiving a distress call from the Corlin system. Pirates are attacking civilian ships." Ellen smiled. 3 years ago, Vextai's people had been slaves. Now they were helping to protect others from the chaos. That followed the Confederation's collapse. Set course for Corlin, maximum speed. The Liberator was one of 50 human ships spread across Alliance space. Their job was to help maintain peace while former Confederation species learned to govern themselves. It wasn't easy work. Some species struggled with concepts like democracy and individual rights after centuries of authoritarian rule, but progress was being made. The Thailand had established the galaxy's first interspecies university. The Korex were teaching former slave species how to rebuild their worlds. Even some former Confederation leaders had joined the Alliance, working to make up for their past. Crimes. Admiral Jack Morrison, now the Supreme Allied Commander, stood before the Assembly to give his yearly report on galactic security. "The Alliance grows stronger every day," he said. 43 new worlds have joined us this year. Trade between member species has increased by 300%. Most importantly, we haven't had a single war between Alliance members. An elderly Velani representative stood up. It was Ambassador Zeth Kar, the same alien who had first demanded Earth's surrender. But his arrogant robes had been replaced by simple clothing, and his eyes held wisdom instead of pride. "Commander Morrison," Zeth Kar said, "I must ask a difficult question. The old Confederation controlled the galaxy through fear and force. How do you prevent the Alliance from becoming the same thing?" Jack nodded respectfully. "A fair question, Ambassador. The answer is simple. We don't rule anyone. Every world that joins the Alliance does so voluntarily. Every world that wants to leave is free to go. We don't demand tribute or obedience. We offer friendship and protection. But surely humans, having defeated the Confederation, could simply take control themselves?" "We could try," Jack admitted. "But we learned something important on our death world. True strength doesn't come from conquering others. It comes from helping others become strong enough to stand on their own." Dr. Helen Parker, now the Alliance's Chief Military Advisor, added her thoughts. "The old Confederation failed because it was built on weakness. Subjects who obeyed only because they had to. Soldiers who fought only because they were ordered to. The Alliance is built on strength. Members who choose to cooperate because they believe in freedom." In the civilian section of the Assembly, children from dozens of different species played together while their parents debated galactic policy. Human children taught alien children games from Earth. Alien children showed humans the art and music of their worlds. Maria Santos, the former colonel who had died defending New Austin Colony, would have smiled to see those children. Her sacrifice, and the sacrifice of thousands of other humans, had made this possible. A galaxy where children of any species could grow up free. The Assembly session ended with the traditional Alliance pledge. Every representative from every species spoke. The words together: "We pledge to stand with those who cannot stand alone, to protect those who cannot protect themselves, to remember that freedom is not given, but earned, and must be earned again by every generation. As the representatives filed out, Susan Clark remained behind. Through the great windows of the assembly hall, she could see ships from hundreds of different worlds docked at the space station. Former enemies working together. Former slaves standing as equals with their liberators. Ambassador Zefkar approached her. "Ms. Clark, may I ask you something?" "Of course." "Do you really believe this will last? That species who fought each other for millennia can learn to live in peace?" Susan thought about the question seriously. "I don't know if it will be easy, Ambassador, but I know it's possible. Humans proved that when we stopped fighting each other on Earth and started working together to reach the stars. And if some species choose conflict over cooperation, then we'll be ready," Susan said simply. "We learned on our death world that sometimes you have to fight to protect what's worth protecting. The Alliance will defend itself and its members, but will always offer peace first." Zefkar nodded slowly. The Confederation believed that fear was the only way to maintain order. "You believe that hope is stronger than fear. Hope backed up by the willingness to fight for it," Susan corrected. "That's what makes the difference." Years passed. The Galactic Alliance grew from 200 worlds to 500, then to 1,000. Trade flourished. Art and science advanced faster than ever before as different species shared their knowledge freely. There were challenges. Some former Confederation worlds tried to restart their old empire. Pirate fleets attacked. Peaceful traders. New threats emerged from unexplored regions of space. But each time, the Alliance responded not with conquest, but with determination. Human-led fleets defended member worlds. Human advisors helped species develop their own defense forces. Human diplomats negotiated peaceful solutions to conflicts that might have become wars. The galaxy learned a new truth. Deathworlders were to be feared, not because they were the strongest or the most ruthless, but because they were the only ones willing to pay any price for freedom. And they would teach that courage to anyone ready to learn. On Earth, in the museum, dedicated to the Confederation War, children from across the galaxy came to learn about the species that had changed everything. They saw displays showing Earth's harsh environment. They learned about human history, full of wars and struggles and gradual progress toward something better. The final exhibit showed a simple message, written in the languages of all Alliance member species. Freedom is not free. It must be earned by every generation. It must be defended by those strong enough to fight for it. And it must be shared with all who are willing to stand for what is right. The day the aliens learned to dread Deathworlders had become the day. The galaxy learned that freedom was possible. And that made all the difference. In the end, humanity's greatest victory was not defeating the Confederation. It was proving that even in a galaxy full of different species with different cultures and different beliefs, there was one thing that united all intelligent life: the desire to be free and the courage to fight for that freedom, no matter the cost.